Hello, good morning. Very warm welcome to everyone. This is the 120th session of Onepoint Oneness guided meditation for the workplace. Delighted to be with you this morning. For those who've not been to a session before or seen the previous recordings, we started Onepoint Oneness back in 2020, so it's 3 years now, gosh. And the idea was to provide some support for people in the workplace who are interested in exploring meditation. And today we have a really interesting topic, especially with all the challenges everyone is facing at the moment, and that is raising resilience. And I'm joined by Aashish Patel. Ash, good morning to you. And Ash, good morning. Aashish has worked in the IT sector for the last 20 plus years, and he's currently head of growth with an IT consultancy. And his principal responsibilities are building relationships and business development. His interests lie in learning about and applying inner leadership principles to develop healthy relationships with ourselves through compassionate living. Ash is an engaged practitioner of Raj Yoga meditation and its teachings, and has worked with a wide range of audiences within the UK and internationally over the last 18 years or so to nurture potential through these principles. So Ash, I'll hand over to you. Really looking forward to the topic today. Yeah, great.
Thank you, Matthew. Lovely to be with Onepoint, especially on the 120th episode. Yeah, really amazing, these short talk formats which focus the mind. This topic actually really intrigued me recently, just because no matter how long you've been following a meditation path, we tune into our capacity to deal with different situations. And I very much remember that I had to take some time out recently just to go away and be in silence and to really spend time with myself to understand what it was that I was dealing with, that I was not having the capacity to deal with. And it was interesting because on reflection, I realized that when I was young, there wasn't really this concept of stress. Perhaps there'd be some tension before the exams or before anything that was challenging, but this idea of stress just didn't seem to exist. But now in the world today, it's it's a chronic problem. It's not just an issue that people experience, but it's one that is consuming us at a chronic level. So it's constant and it's ever present. And not just stress, but when we live in this zone of stress constantly, and that is our day-to-day existence, then ultimately we find ourselves leading into depression and some form of mental illness, because stress left unchecked will ultimately develop into a state of inner mental vulnerability. And I recognize that when I first started my meditation journey, it really started when I needed to actually take some time out of work and recalibrate, begin to understand what was stopping me from functioning at work. And a lot of it came down to a recognition that I hadn't really given myself enough time to understand myself. And there was a particular formula which really hit home for me when I started taking courses at the Brahma Kumaris, when I started practicing Raj Yoga meditation. And this formula was really simple. It was stress equals pressure over resilience. And just reflecting on, kind of where we've come from, and certainly in my childhood, the levels of pressure that came from different challenges didn't really create stress in my life. I know that maybe the pace of which we were living lives were a lot less than they are today. But it just feels like the level of challenge, the complexity of challenge, the volume of challenge has just increased in today's world that we live in. Yet our capacity to deal with those challenges, our ability to be resilient, so the denominator of that equation, has somehow diminished. And so ultimately, we've got to a state where there is stress when I feel pressure. So as soon as there is pressure, there is immediate feeling of stress that is overcome within us. And this is something I know I've been through, but this is something I have seen in the workplace, in my colleagues, that even the slightest amount of pressure will trigger feelings of stress. And I think until we're able to really work on building resilience and developing our capacity to tolerate, our capacity to adjust, our capacity to forgive, our capacity to let go, these are forms of inner strength. This is forms of resilience that will ultimately allow us to really deal with the challenges that we face. And so building resilience for me starts with actually acknowledging what's happening in my inner world. And sometimes when we're in it and we're facing it, it's not always easy to really acknowledge what is happening, because we can be bogged down by very big decisions that we need to make. We can be bogged down by maybe the state of our health. We can be bogged down by certain big changes that are looming in our lives that we're unable to, fully understand or comprehend or have the capacity to make. And when all these sorts of big elements or big challenges come together, they kind of create a real hot pot, where, spiritually or inner strength wise, we can feel drained. And so burnout is one of the biggest consequences of not being able to develop this in a relationship with myself, where we see so much taking place and the sheer volume of things that need to be done now in a professional environment make people feel totally overwhelmed, utterly powerless, and in a position where they're just not able to deal with them. And a big part of it comes down to not having the knowledge to know how to build capacity within myself. And so I remember one of the most important aspects of my journey out of that first experience of stress, when I had to take time out and when I came and learned about Raj Yoga meditation, was exactly that. It was a need to acknowledge deeply where I was at and my inability to function. And I think firstly, we have to have that reality check in our lives to know that, we are struggling and suffering. And secondly, we need to really check in with our feelings. We have to acknowledge them. We have to accept them. And then with that compassion and kindness, we have to respond to our lives, making ourselves the priority. And meditation is definitely one of the biggest tools to enable us to really separate away from the parts of us that are drawing us into stressful thinking, overload, brokenness, into a part of us that is calm, still, and quiet. And this is what meditation does. It allows us to activate this inner part of us that is really calm. It's very still and very quiet. And when we begin to experience inner peace through connection with this part internally, then we can start to build capacity. Then we can start to begin to find some balance and clarity in terms of what it is that we need to pay attention to in our lives. But until we take that space and the time to reflect, to contemplate, to see what is happening in our inner world, we will constantly be running away from it. And by running away from it, we will keep ourselves distracted in the world around us, regardless of how we feel, and allow us to continue operating in this go, go, go mentality without acknowledging where I am physically, where I am emotionally, where I am mentally. And so a big part of starting this journey, if any of you are feeling highly stressed, and stress is a chronic condition in your lives, is to ask myself this one question. And that is, what am I feeling? And what is triggering my stress at the moment? And to really just check in with me and understand what the sources of my stress are, so that I can begin to take responsibility for how I feel and how I think. And stress is perpetuated because when I recognize I'm stressed, the first thing I do is tell myself I'm stressed. And so this self-affirmation that we tend to use by repeating in our own minds that I am stressed, I am stressed, I am stressed, only serves to increase it. But instead, we can start to use different affirmations that say, I am happy instead. And these can help just break the cycle of low vibration thinking, which is exactly that, repeating the negative to my mind and allowing it to bring me down, and start to repeat something that is positive, and that will allow me to elevate my vibrational energy. So I just wanted to share those thoughts with all of you this morning on this topic of building resilience. Let us experience a meditation now for the next 10-15 minutes, and allow ourselves to go into this inner space and activate this part of us that can really bring stillness, calmness, and balance internally. So let us take a few moments now just to take a deep breath in, hold for 5, and release for 7. And let us just do that once more. Hold. And now release. And now just settle into a gentle breathing pattern. And this cleansing breath brings stability to this body. Each breath relaxes the muscles, releases the tension, and just creates a sense of calm, harmonizing the energies of the body. One of the places that we tend to store and carry stress and tension in our lives is within our bodies. And to truly relax, connecting with our breath is essential. And when my breath starts to stabilize, I feel that my mind is now beginning to center itself in the present moment. And each breath aerates the mind and releases away any thoughts of my past, any thoughts of the day, any scenes that have been troubling or challenging me. and any situations that have yet to come, a release both realms of time, the past and the future. I allow the mind to simply be in this space here and now. And as the energy of the mind begins to settle into this present moment, there is a quiet, calm, and still space growing inside. And as this feeling of stillness and quietness grows inside, all of the sounds, the movement, the actions of the world around me they simply dissolve into the background. And in the foreground, there is peace. There is quietness. And I focus my attention on this feeling of peace that I am experiencing in this moment, having disconnected from everything around me, removing the stimulations of the world around me, and enabling the mind to be still and quiet. And in this space of peace, there is a safety, a recognition that I can come and create this inner space whenever I want. It is the part of me that can allow myself to observe the different scenes and situations in my life objectively. It is the part of me that can begin to see these situations and scenes with a level of clarity and wisdom. And as I begin to observe my life and the situations that I'm connected to in my life, be it relationships, be it challenges, I'm able to tune in to a hidden truth about myself and everything around me. I allow myself now to see this hidden truth about my attitude towards myself, about my responses in these situations. And I simply acknowledge it. And remain detached. In observation, there is no judgment. There is only insight. And when I'm able to observe my life one step removed And then I'm able to see it clearly. I'm able to know how to respond to what I'm facing. But when I'm consumed or absorbed by the different situations in my life, then I am caught up in the weeds, confusion, emotion, loss of clarity, lack of decision making, and an inability to be resilient. So to step in, I first must step out. Step out to see the bigger picture. Step out to see where this road is taking me. And to realize what I need to strengthen my capacity. And there is inner peace within. Then I have the opportunity to charge my being and to strengthen and build capacity. The capacity to tolerate, the capacity to accommodate, the capacity to let go or to forgive. These are aspects of inner strength that only grow when I am connected with myself. And as my capacity increases, I am building resilience so that I may face whatever it is I need to face. And I can face it with strength, not vulnerability. So let me acknowledge the challenges in my life where I am lacking capacity. Let me hold the intention for myself to develop and strengthen my inner relationship with myself, acknowledging my inner world and transforming the way I think about it. And to develop a relationship with myself strengthens my self-respect and enables me to face myself without judgment, without being hard, without being self-critical, but instead, when I begin to develop a relationship with this part of me that is quiet and still, then I will emerge compassion, kindness, gentleness, the qualities that are necessary to build capacity. I release myself from force or forms of violence and I begin to develop a relationship based on warmth and trust, being a friend to myself, caring at a time of need. So let me hold this benevolent vision and intention for myself to strengthen my inner capacity to face the challenges and the obstacles and the test papers that I face in my life, starting today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Ash, for that. Great topic and really immersive experiential meditation, which I think is what we all need, right? And I like the formula. It's stress equals pressure over resilience. Yeah, I just guess I had a couple of questions. Do you feel there's any limit to the amount of resilience you can build, or is it more a matter of how much attention we pay to, as you said, taking time out and connecting with this power of peace? For instance, I guess there's a lot of people out there who are feeling really overwhelmed. They might be doing a bit of meditation here and there and thinking, it's helping a bit, but maybe not. Maybe I've got a limit to my resilience. So I was just wondering, because I know you've decided at certain points of your life, you said, to actually take real time out to invest, time in really exploring and practicing meditation. So yeah, that was just a thought that came to mind.
I think it's a really good question. And I think, a lot of us can think that we have a certain capacity to tolerate different situations, people, climate, whatever. And beyond that, we can't do it. But the truth of it is we can. The truth of it is that we have this ability to really pay attention to our inner world. And when we start to do that, then our capacity increases very naturally. And so the things that used to affect us less. And the spiritual supermarket's a busy place. There's so many different forms and types of meditation. Some may work for some, others may not. But I can only go by the form of meditation that I happened to stumble upon first that seemed to make the biggest difference, which was Raja Yoga meditation, because it allowed me to understand this concept of self-sovereignty, which is to reclaim the mind. And reclaiming the mind doesn't just start by bringing the mind into presence. That's just the entry point. Reclaiming the mind starts by actually observing the thoughts that I'm having and recognizing the harm they're doing to me. And this form of meditation for me has had a greater impact because it allows me to take control and responsibility of the thoughts that perpetuate my suffering and diminish my capacity to be resilient. So I think that's a good way to examine and know what I need to experiment. Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Well, thanks so much, Ash, for joining us today. It's a wonderful session. And for everybody that's listening, thank you for joining us too. I'm sure you've enjoyed today's session. And I think if you've been here before, you probably know the recordings are always available on YouTube. And I just thought I'd take the opportunity to just share quickly with you see if the share works. Yeah, so if you type in 1.1ness into your browser, usually the first thing will come up is the 1.1ness page. So just a bit of background. At one point, we were an IT consultancy, but a lot of us have a daily practice of meditation. So as I said at the beginning, we started this project 3 years ago. If you go to the page, you'll see a little bit of an introduction, a bit of a calendar about what's coming up and what's gone before, and also a link to the YouTube channel. And just wanted to quickly show everybody the YouTube channel because there is such a huge resource of material here, 120 recordings from meditation teachers with a lot of experience like Ash from around the world, and lots of amazing topics. And if you haven't explored this, I'm sure you'll find it a wonderful resource, and also great to share it with family, friends, and colleagues as well. You can find information also in the YouTube channel about the website. The links are here, and any feedback you want to give or suggestions about topics you'd like to see. So just wanted to share that with all of you and really encourage you to use this amazing resource. So thanks once again to Ash, and wishing everybody a wonderful day ahead. And if you're in the UK, so I know we have an international audience, if you're in the UK, enjoy the bank holiday weekend. The forecast looks pretty good. All right. So see everyone soon. Thanks for joining.